Tesla's going private. That's what the joke.
What joke?
The joke was about weed. It wasn't about going private. He did that text right after the Rogan show.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I didn't get the joke, but
Are we running?
Yeah, we're going live right now.
Yeah, there we are. All right. Hey, everyone. Gonna bang out a few segments here.
And right here, I can keep it like this way. I can see y'all cells and everything.
Yeah, you look good. It's
I know
great.
that was a struggle that we had over there.
You want a stool? I'll buy you a stool.
No, I'm good right here.
Okay.
This chair is perfect.
Great.
you doing, man?
You're doing good.
I get your emails every day.
You should be getting them a couple times a day.
Yeah, I like.
I just added another 20,000 to that group, so we're at like 40-something thousand on the small list.
We got
That's awesome.
Bruce, bring us in.
All right. We're going live.
20,000.
And
That's great.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Robert here with Mr. Texas Real Estate. I'm joined by Jason Bible, my partner, and we have a new influencer, George. George is going to work with our group and bring you tons of great contact on Airbnb. So, George, why don't you give us a little background and introduce yourself to the folks out there?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? So thanks, Robert, Jason, for having me here. I am extremely happy and glad to be here. So excited to work with everybody and just teach and bring value to everybody that wants to learn this awesome Airbnb business, right? So a little bit about me. I am from Peru and
Peruvian.
Peruvian,
Gotcha.
right? That's right. So I was born and raised in Peru, and I moved here to the United States when I was 15 years old. So about 20 years ago, and I grew up over there in a very small town, and moved here and came without knowing any English. So I'm glad to be here. I went to high school here,
Nice.
started a small little business in marketing for about 10 years, and here we are. That's right.
Good deal.
I came to Texas and not knowing any Spanish.
Now you know all
So I'm
Spanish.
working on it.
Yeah, you're working on it.
Hello.
What?
Baño.
Baño. Is there a baño around
That's a
here?
big one, yeah. Hey man, don't laugh. And so George, you do Airbnb. You've kind of taken the city by storm, really crushing it in the last year. Why don't you give us some data points? Like, how many listings you got? And then we'll talk a little bit about the breakdown between ownership and rental arbitrage.
Okay, so yeah, we started off actually with the rental arbitrage, and we jumped on to two listings back in 2018. So at the beginning of August of 18, we I utilized my wholesaling fees of the month
Nice.
to put down on these two, stage them, and then by then I had already 8 contracts, 8 leases.
Wow.
Set up in one building. So we persisted and actually really worked very hard to get these 8 leases. So I was excited to start the business.
Love it.
I had learned about it not even two and a half months before. So by the end of August, we had 10 arbitrage listings.
Wow.
And we ended up actually having about 14 by the end of that year. And then we've more than scaled our portfolio to 35 now from 14 at the end of 19.
Wow, that's great.
18, I'm sorry.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
More than 100% growth. It's amazing.
Thank you, sir.
And so most of it is the arbitrage, but you've started to buy properties now. But just tell them the difference between the way we do Airbnb and the way you do it.
So
The main difference.
Right. The main difference, arbitrage, you are leasing or renting a property from a landlord or a property manager, and after you lease it, you make sure you always have that contract and then that waiver, and then you stage it and then you list it on Airbnb after it's leased. So instead of buying it, you're not gonna own the property.
Sure.
And you're able to list it on Airbnb on the Airbnb platform and make the difference. That's arbitrage. The difference between your gross and then minus your expenses and your rent.
That's pretty amazing too, because it's so what we're really talking about is a much lower entry point. What do you say the average is to get started in rental arbitrage?
I got started with $5,000 of property.
Wow.
and that's with $1,000 lease, $1,000 deposit, and actually paying a labor, about $5 to $750, and the remaining, $2,250
Things.
for the essentials, the electronics, and just to stage the entire property.
That's great. So are we pretty comfortable saying 10 grand to get started?
10 grand to get
And they're
started.
not all hustlers like you. They're gonna overthink and overspend and.
You
You
can
know how
actually
it is,
do
right?
it with $34,000 if you do all the work yourself. It's going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah. Of course.
And then you get a nice little maybe studio with a lease, a year or two lease. I recommend the higher leases though. So going 2 years, it's a little better. Because you never know when that landlord might say, hey, you know what, I don't want to renew, but to make sure you always are protected.
Sure.
Having that first right of refusal is one of the strategies that we use, so we don't get kicked out of
So
that.
Jason, he's giving himself a 2-year payback period
Okay.
instead of being cut off at 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
The landlord saying, "Wow, I see you're listed all over the place. Place looks great. I think I'm just going to do it myself."
Yeah, I'd like to have that back now, please.
All right, can I have it back after you've built that out? So that's good. 2 years.
Use that first right of refusal, so
Gotcha.
it allows you to, even if you didn't break the lease,
Mhm.
then you have the first right to get a third, fourth year, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't break any
Good.
terms on it.
What is typically your payback? What are you seeing as your payback?
I've actually been in about 10, 12 months. Some of the properties are
less than a year.
gonna be less than a year, but depending, right? So some of our
Yeah,
bigger
yeah,
properties that we kicked off with just about maybe a year and a half.
Love it.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, so you get 100% return inside of 12 months, so the rest of it's just kind of gravy at that point.
Yep.
Not bad.
Nice. So where do you do your arbitrage? You mentioned studio, so obviously that's not a house, right? You're renting apartments.
We are renting apartments, condos, houses. We've got one house that we rent, and then the other 4 we own, right? So apartments in smaller buildings. We haven't gotten to high rise or anything like that because they're, the margins are a little bit lower. There's more competition.
Yeah.
Right.
$1,800 to $2,200 for the high rise towers. Yeah.
So
For the rent.
yeah. So downtown, Montrose,
Really?
Midtown.
How's it doing over in Montrose?
The Montrose ones are the leases are anywhere between $850
Nice.
for those properties, and they're bringing in 17 to 2,000. So some of them
Wow.
2.5.
Nice.
We haven't got to 3 yet, but you never know, right? When the city changes and the growth in that area. Yes.
That's fantastic. Where would you not go at this point?
Right now,
Are you doing
I-
beach properties? Would you do Galveston? Would you do Surfside where we're at, or Corpus? Would you do any beach properties?
I would definitely do beach properties.
Okay.
Yes, those are more seasonal, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we have
6
one in
months,
Galveston,
7-month window. Yeah,
and we're still rehabbing it. So
got it. Us too.
yeah, those permits, man.
So let's not go into that. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, this is Robert, Jason, and our new influencer, George. George is going to be on what night, Taylor? Is he going to be on? Did we figure that out?
Whatever night you want.
Thursday night? I think it's Thursday
I think
night.
AC's Wednesday, isn't it?
AC's Wednesday, yeah. And then if the other guy can get his stuff together, he'll be on Tuesday. So,
Okay.
so Thursday night from 10 to 11, you'll be able to catch George on The Answer. Is it? What's our number?
1070.
1070. Oh, my.
10:70 a.m.
10:70 a.m. Yeah,
In
he'll be
Houston.
in Houston. You can catch him live streaming as well on the website, and then everything that we record will be on our Texas Real Estate Radio Network podcast. So you'll be able to learn a lot more in depth about Airbnb. I'm sure you're going to bring some of your students on and some of your team on. They can share some great insights. So that should be really, really good. George, stick around. We're going to come back for another segment here. This is Robert and Jason here with the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. George, you're going to have to get used to saying that. Give it a whirl. We have 15 seconds on the out. Say your name and the Texas Real Estate Radio Network.
This is George Salas with the Texas State Radio Network.
No, do it again. Texas Real Estate Radio Network.
This is George Salas with the Texas State Real Estate Network.
Nope,
No.
Texas Real Estate Radio Network. No
This is-
state.
George Salas with the Texas Real Estate Radio Network.
Perfect. All right,
Yes.
hey guys, we'll be right
All
back.
right.
Thank you very much.
That took twice, 3 times.
That's a pretty good thing.
That's a
Everything's
good
a
one.
state, right?
Yeah.
That's good. No, that was
love it.
fun. That's
Your
perfect.
listeners want to know more about arbitrage listings.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay,
We're
cool.
gonna talk about our class.
Oh, so you get
Nice.
Oh, cool. You get list.
So it's being
Yeah, they're watching
broadcasted on
right now.
Facebook Live from his page, and the group.
So, go to mrtxre.com. That's MR as in Mr. TX as in Texas, RE as in real estate, mrtxre.com. And you can go under, is it education or events? What's the tab now?
Education.
Education, and you can click through to the meetups. It says join our meetups. Click through on that, or look for. We have a class coming up with George in March, which is going to be pretty intensive. And you guys can go right now, and I believe it's not this next Monday, but 2 Mondays from now, we have another Airbnb Q&A. And so last time we had over 150 people on, and they start booting people. So make sure you get there early and get in there. So go ahead and register on Meetup for your Airbnb Q&A, and you can ask all the questions you want about rental arbitrage, and we'll try and get through them. If not, come to our 2-day event, which is in March, which is also at mrtxre.com under education, and that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we forgot to mention B&B Cash Flow Mastery, which I need to.
That's it, B&B Cash Flow Mastery.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the first
.com.
event he's talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. No, the website's already up, and
Oh, then go to the
we
website
need to
too.
start editing things and adding things to it.
Yeah, you can just send them links. We're ready to go when you are, Rock.
Pull the mic a little bit closer. Like, there you go, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Alright, ready? Going live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, everyone, welcome back. It's Robert here, Jason, and George. We're talking about Airbnb tonight. It's very exciting for us. So let's just go in a little bit further into rental arbitrage, and then I'll explain it, and you correct me where I'm wrong, or pat me on the back if I'm right, okay? So essentially we're going to go and find a landlord who's got a property or an apartment or a condo or a townhouse that's saying, hey, I'm leasing this. It's a typical 1-year lease, first and last and deposit. And you're going to go to them and say, okay, look, hey, Mr. Landlord, I'm interested in doing this. But I want to let you know that I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be subleasing it as an Airbnb. I've done this for 37 times. We do very, very well. And I'd like to sign a 2-year lease with you. And that's basically it, right?
So if we do that, then there could be I would say an objection on the landlord side.
Okay, so how do we get around that?
You first tell them the benefits,
Yep.
right? And then what I do is if we're calling, we've got a process that we're gonna show you guys on the actual class, right? We've got a process that allows us as future Airbnb hosts actually propose and pitch a realtor that's going to pitch another realtor, pitch a landlord directly, or someone that owns the property, or pitch a property management company that has control or owns certain property. So whichever you pick, you always tell them the benefits first, right? So what are going to be the benefits of actually renting a property compared to a long-term tenant? One of them would be, hey, I'm going to have your property maintenance and cleaned every single week, right? So instead of having a long-term landlord will never clean it, the dog will piss on the carpet and they'll leave and there's a bunch of holes, right? So you rent it, you maintain the property because you have to deliver it to your guests in the best condition possible.
Sure.
Right? So it has to be cleaned at all times. So you're gonna maintain their lawn. So someone, you know the headaches, you're a landlord, right?
Yeah.
Of having long-term tenants. So working with an Airbnb host that is a professional, it has its benefits. So you tell them the benefits first, and then after that, you just tell them exactly what you're gonna do. Don't hide it. Don't try to go around it. So and then you pitch it. You say, hey, are you interested? I'm ready to go. And then I'm professional. And here's my stuff. Here's my website. If you don't have a website, make one on Wix. It's like probably $30-$40.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, those couple pointers.
So that's good. So they're going to make sure we are going to disclose, but you're going to do it in a way that expresses the benefits. Right, so that's really good. So that's rental arbitrage, and then if you're paying $1,000 a month and you can get your Airbnb over $2,000, you're taking the difference. Perfect. All right, so talk to us about the B&B Cash Flow Mastery.
B&B Cash Flow Mastery, a concept we came up with, and it's going to have actually we're going to teach you guys exactly from A to Z how you can scale, take 0 properties how to enter the space as one of the three models, which is co-hosting,
Mhm.
manage someone else's property, going into rental arbitrage, or buying, right? You guys are experts on purchasing and ownership and buying, so
Right.
I've done plenty of arbitrage, and we continue to grow, and I love the model. And then managing or co-hosting, it's the easiest thing, and it takes no money. So taking you through that process on how to do it from zero, how to actually pitch the landlords, how to find the properties, how to analyze the numbers, because that's really important. Knowing your numbers,
Sure.
you've got to be on point. Otherwise, you are not going to succeed if you don't know your numbers, because not every property is good for Airbnb, right? Then we deep dive into teaching you guys how to actually build a team, and then what that team has inside, what departments Airbnb has, what you can do with these teammates or departments, and how you can pair them up. It could be virtual. Right, you could hire guys out of the Philippines as virtual assistants.
Sure,
and
got
build
it.
your team like that, as long as you've got somebody here on site or wherever you're managing your property, right? And then we deep dive into actually the actual listing and how to create it, what little pointers, what things you need inside that listing to be successful. Your title, your photos, the descriptions. People don't even know sometimes, hey, what do I put on here, right? We've got a professional copywriter that helps us. She's way better than we are, but at first I didn't know, right? But there are little pointers, little things you need to put on those listings. Then the automation softwares, we show you how to work them, what to implement. We've got awesome processes and systems that we've created, and we've created them from scratch, right? And with the automation softwares and the processes and systems, we combine them, and then it enables us to actually scale, and then eventually, as we take you through this journey of learning from 0 to 5, 10 properties, we're able to help you scale it, help you take yourself out of the business just a little bit, and then continue to build as you grow.
So we're going to do this 2-day class. It's 2 days, right?
Right.
On day 1, we're going to show you everything that you need to know to set up a rental arbitrage Airbnb. We're going to talk about how you find it. We're going to talk about how you negotiate it. We're going to talk about the right way to sign the lease. Talk about where you find the furniture. We're going to talk about who you work with to get it all set up. And that's day 1. And then day 2, we'll go through all the technical stuff that you were hitting on, point after point after point. Who needs to be on your team, technical writers, photographers, getting all that stuff lined out. Boom, 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 boom. So it will be laid out completely. There should be no questions left unanswered, which is a big thing when Jason and I do our education. Is we don't want it to be one of those events where you just show up and you get a little bit of knowledge, and then there's a guy at the back of the room who's trying to get you up for $50,000, right? One of the things we'll do, and we do all our classes, is we say, at the beginning of the day 1, what are the questions you have? And we'll write all the questions down. And then we won't leave on Saturday until everyone who's been there has gotten all their questions answered. And so they should be able to walk away with the blueprints on how to get started. Now, of course, there'll be some hand-holding, and we can do joint ventures and all the other stuff. But for sure, if you come to the 2-day, we're going to go through everything you need to understand about how you're going to set up a rental arbitrage on day 1. And on day 2, we're going to go through all the technical stuff, the back end of Airbnb, who you'd work with, how you can maximize your numbers on that. And you'll be able to walk away that weekend with the understanding of getting this thing started. And that's our big goal. It'll be nothing held back. Every question gets answered so that you can come and you feel like, hey, I've gotten everything that I was supposed to get out of this. There's nothing more disappointing than spending a lot of money going to an event and not having any of your questions answered, right? It's a big, big problem. So we'll be able to take care of that for you. We're very excited about that. That is the B&B Cash Flow Mastery. I think it is a fantastic event. I think a lot of people in this town will do very, very well by showing up and moving forward with us. So, you know what? We're going to make sure that Taylor go ahead and puts the copy is right up there on mrtxre.com. Go right there. Go to education. You'll see the link. It says B&B Cash Flow Mastery. And we'll also post it out on Facebook. And then we have the Q&A coming up in about 2 weeks, which will be another great night. Again, we're just trying to answer all your questions. We just want to pump it all out there so you guys feel very, very comfortable that you're not going to get lost in this.
Yep.
And get frightened and pushed away and lose money. We want to prevent that from happening. So we're excited working with you, George. We're really, really happy to have you on board. We're going to come back in this next segment here, talk a little bit more. If you guys have any questions, you guys can go ahead and text us at 281-401-9008. It's 281-401-9008. You can go ahead and check us out at mrtxre.com. It's Mr. Texas Real Estate page. My name is Robert Orfino. I'm here with George. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We'll be back.
That's good. That's good.
We're not done. Jason comes in. He's going to do a segment with you.
Okay.
Still here, Jason?
Yeah.
You want to jump in real quick for 9 minutes and just talk about cash flow over equity? That's the model.
How was that?
What's up?
How was that?
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
It's on our Eventbrite.
That should have accepted, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, it should be good.
Yes. Yep. Okay, I'm there. Oh, okay, I accepted here. Access. There you go. You have access.
Oh, boy.
So how do you go, is it going live on everyone's Facebook or no?
Mm-hmm. So it's going live through this interface right here. So it's going on.
Can we have my Facebook?
Just give me 1 second.
Or is that
We'll do another segment, you and George. We're going to talk about our, what you call it. We still on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh,
can
sorry.
we add my Facebook to this? That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that you could do that.
We can.
Go to one of their Facebooks and share it.
Yeah, you can just go to my page and share it right now.
Oh, well, we go live though.
We're live right now.
We are.
Hello. Yep.
Alright.
Let me get the headphones. Let's do this one on horror stories. Because everyone gets freaked out.
Oh, they do?
Yep.
Okay. Let's touch the subject and how did you solve it?
Yeah, you'll talk
Saying
about
this
solving,
is-
yeah. Because you have that team that does all that
Yeah.
shit, man.
It's not that hard. You just
I
get
know.
them all up and
We just
know
got 1,700
the
bucks back.
rules. Yeah, we get thousands.
Nice.
Thousands. Yeah, and it's because we have solid rules and we have someone who's pay attention and we have a process where you actually go back and take photos, provide the photos to
Save that. We're going to do it.
Oh, so. Are you listening right now?
Yeah, they're listening right now. Yeah.
Oh.
We're about to get on the radio. He's going to count us in.
All right, bring it down a little bit. Bring it more to your mouth. Just
Like this.
yeah, like right there. Like
Got it.
yeah, right there. Perfect.
Okay.
There you go.
Alright.
There you go. All right. Going live in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back. Good evening. This is Robert here with the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. With one of our influencers here with George, and George is doing Airbnb. So George, when Airbnb gets in the news, it's usually because
Bad happens.
something bad happened, you know, and it usually stems around, you know, someone not following the rules. And so, I'll tell you the two things. I'll tell you my horror stories. Two things. One, we had a guy who did pretty long for an Airbnb, 30 days.
Okay.
And then he renewed for another 30 days. So he's in this room for 60 days.
Wow.
And, you know, he's doing some sort of IT work or something like that. He's doing a little drinky every night. And there's a fireplace in the room.
Oh, goodness.
So he decides that he's going to go out and start a fire. But instead of going down to Home Depot and buying the logs or any of that stuff, or he wasn't in Texas, so he couldn't go to HEB. But he was going to go and buy the logs or something like that. He just went in the backyard and started pulling up branches from shrubs and stuff.
Oh, goodness.
Very dry pine needle branches. He shoves in the fireplace. He turns it on and lights it, and they all go up. Now I got this big smoke scar up the wall. The smoke detector goes off. There's other people in the house. They're freaked out. And so, you know, now we got people like, is there a fire? Is there a fire? Is there a fire? And like the last thing we want is the fire department to come, the police, because then we're going to get on their list. And the more they keep coming, they'll start charging us for false alarms. They didn't come, but, you know, my partner was 10 minutes away, ran up by, and, you know, guy's a little lonely, a little too much time to himself, sitting in a room, and him and, you know, a quart of Smirnoff, right? And so that wasn't good. And then we have a very specific no parties. It says right in our no parties. This is not for parties. This is business travelers preferred, right? And this woman clearly had a party because we have a ring doorbell. So we're watching all these people standing on the porch, smoking weed, drinking beers, doing all that stuff. We're like, look what's going on. So again, my partner who deals with all the back office, and he'll talk more about that, you know, called her and said, hey, those people got to get out of the house. You told me there were going to be 2 people there. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I can see you on the camera. And she's like, oh, well, that's an invasion of my privacy. He's like, nope, it's on the listing. It says there is a ring doorbell. We will be monitoring who comes in and out for your protection. So she got everyone out, and the next day she left, and she actually, here's the crazy thing, George. She wrote us a 5-star review.
Wow.
But caused $1,700 worth of damage, which we went to Airbnb on, and Airbnb paid us for the damages. There was no smoking in the house. There were cigarette stains. There were burnt marks on the rug. There were trash sheets, a lot of unnecessarily garbage and beer cans and everything like that, and stains on the wooden floor. And Airbnb looked at all the pictures and went through the whole thing and got $1,700. And that was the first time I even realized that there was some sort of system. But you've already built that into your business. That's part of your model. So maybe you can talk about somewhere where you're able to get your damages back, because everyone freaks out about, aren't they going to trash their house? And it's like, yeah, at some point someone might, but there is an avenue to get that recourse. And so why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about a couple of my experiences, and then we'll go into how to prevent them, and what to do about them, and if they do happen, and how to go around the experience or whatever happened, and then recover in every dollar that you're spending, even what it costs to repair, with an extra on the contractor side. Right?
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah. So one experience that I'll never forget. Okay, we walk into my team walks into this property. It's a 2-story condo, right? And the entire house is trashed.
Oof.
Then I've actually this is the only I've had 3 incidents similar. But this was the worst. Okay, so out of 37, and then out of 2,500, we've had only 3. So they do happen, but they're gonna happen very seldomly, right? So we walk into the house, and this entire house is messed up. There's trash everywhere. The rug is in the garage, wet. The actual fire extinguisher is the what's the thing that's in the fire extinguisher? Is it a
They-
fan?
Yeah, they blasted it all out, the CO or whatever it is. Yeah, the
Blasted the fire
Oh my
extinguisher, right? The mattress is stained. There is drinks, cups. There's a bag of cocaine. There is.
nice. Make money that way, right?
Yes, I was like, whoa, man, these guys are just crazy, right? They don't respect your house. I don't understand how people can do that. And they didn't even clean it up, right?
Mm.
There's trash everywhere. Mattress messed up, comforters messed up, drinks on dressers. So it took my team about 2 days to clean it up.
Oh wow.
And this is 3 people. So what we did is we turned around, filed, and actually this was immediately when we've got a system that we built that goes around, so we don't affect our own personal reviews or your business reviews that we've figured out to go around and make sure that we don't get those bad reviews. So what we did is we filed a claim,
Mhm.
and it took Airbnb 4 months to actually pay us. And then how did they pay us, and why did they pay us after 4 months? They actually didn't want to pay us, right? And we have to follow up. So the system we build allows us to follow up, and we've got certain follow-up dates, and
Sure.
we put things in place. There's a person in charge, and the first thing you do is you define your rules,
Mhm.
right? Step 1 is defining your rules. Step 2.
These are the house rules. There's,
The house
for us,
rules.
there's no smoking. There's no pets. There's no parties. Yep.
Yeah, we actually have a list of 15 other house rules.
No deep frying.
Know a lot of things,
Right,
Because people they don't know, and what you tell them not to do, sometimes they'll do it on purpose, but sometimes they don't know. So you ask them to make sure they read them before they book, and
Got
then you create these house rules that have that are implemented, and then have certain fees, so they'll less likely do them. And I've seen the difference between before the house rules,
Got it.
after we created the house rules.
Oh really?
Yeah, big difference. So.
Oh, you list the fees too. So if they're smoking, we're gonna charge this.
Yep.
If there's that's brilliant.
So yeah, and then we'll bring it, So I've got the entire list.
Nice.
So you anticipate by implementing these rules, and if they do happen, there's a way that we go, and it's simply you guys file the claim after the review, and then follow up to make sure that you get paid, right? And we'll dive deep into it when we do the Q&A session. So if you guys want to know how we actually make money through these claims and
You gotta come out.
accidents, so we'll discuss that a little bit more, man.
Excellent. Hey, so again, this is Robert and George here. We're talking Airbnb, short-term rentals. We're actually seeing a surprisingly good February so far.
Yeah, amazing.
We were a little shocked how good February, because last year February was sucking wind for us. So we're seeing a good February. So we hope that all you guys out there doing Airbnb are seeing some great Februarys. If you are interested, make sure you join our group. It's Mr. Texas Real Estate with Jason Bible and Robert Orfino on Facebook. It's 2 questions, but get in that group. You'll see the stuff coming in from George, and we talk a little Airbnb there. Go to our website, mrtxre.com. And if you have if you have questions about what day the events are on, you want to come out there, text us at 281-401-9008, 281-401-9008. Go ahead and text us, and we'll get you the information on the event so you can show up. Thank you very much, and we'll be back. Yes, sir. Need a picture?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. Ready?
Trash cans.
1, 2, 3.
You're missing out.
He's in the next one. Oh, yeah, good.
Ready? 1. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, hold on, my fingers on the way. Sorry, my bad. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That was the one.
Great. All right. One more to go. Jason's it for you.
Alright. Powering through.
What are we talking about today?
Let's talk about cash flow on Airbnb versus a rental.
Okay.
This thing sinks.
You guys have a lot of rentals, right?
We got a couple of rentals.
Oh, you want
A lot of our rental doors are in small multifamilies, so we got a couple of rental properties.
Yeah, imagine one rental here, one rental there would just be
Well,
Airbnb's
yeah.
the headache's worth it.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's what we're gonna talk about.
All right, you guys ready? All right, going live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, folks. Jason Bible here for Texas Real Estate Radio Network. George and I are talking about Airbnb today, cash flow. Let's say cash flow of rental properties versus Airbnb. So I've got the board behind me here, although you guys are probably not going to be able to see anything that I write up here, but we're just going to use it to keep notes, if you will. So Airbnb, let's say standard rental property here in Houston. Actually, well, maybe we have to talk about your Airbnbs. What do you think your Airbnbs would rent for net? Like $300 a month, $400 a month if you got a mortgage on it.
Majority of mine, so you're asking me for the rent.
Right. So you're leasing these properties from these landlords, right? Let me ask this question differently. What's the average lease rate for the properties that you got?
Average $1,000.
So $1,000 a month. And what is the average? And this is going to be tough because Airbnb is a little bit more is variable, right? So what's the average monthly gross rent for your Airbnb?
For a majority of my downtown properties, they're going to be anywhere between 2 to 2.5, and that's okay. Most of these properties that I got at the beginning, you can actually find 3 to 3.5 times right now. Okay. So majority of mine are 2.5. We're okay with those, but we've got, depending on what area, right? So if you rent 1,000, depending on the building, depending on the area, 2.5. So on 2.5, you're sitting good, but you want to just minimum 2.5, right?
Right.
So now
right.
my actual criteria is no less than 2.5, and if we hit 3, great. We've got several properties after we did this whole wave that are 3.5.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So and those you can cash flow much better.
So you got a house here. You can make $1,000 a month, or you can make about $2,500 a month in just doing Airbnb instead. So what are your just say net expenses out of that $2,500? You're gonna have the $1,000 lease, right? So now you're down to $1,500. What other expenses are you gonna have outside of this here?
So on our end, we've got the cleaning. So you take about on this type of properties, we have in-house cleaning. So you do about 10%.
Okay.
10% on cleaning, and that's going to be based on 7 to 10 bookings for that month.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want to do
so $250 there. Yeah. All right. What else you got?
So, you've got supplies, and
Okay.
that's an average of $50 on one property.
Okay. Supplies. All right. What else?
And then we have utilities. So utilities for a small studio, right? And it all varies. This is just an example of most of our smaller listings,
Sure,
right?
sure.
We go to a house, we talk about a 2-bedroom that we have. We're just basing it on these small listing, and we have like 18 or 20 of these types. So so the cash flow is okay. It's easier, but there are tons of different.
Sure.
So
But this is kind of an average example. So what about utilities?
utilities, you're gonna say it out. Man, the utilities are cheap because most of these small apartments, everything's gonna be included. So the only thing is electricity.
Oh, okay.
So anywhere between $50 and $75 for electricity.
So let's call it $50 here. So we're at $350 plus Let's see, we got $350 here, right? Minus $1,500, which puts us at what $1,150 net a month.
Right.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
$1,150 a month, and you're leasing this thing. And what is your I was listening just earlier when you and Rob were talking about out of pocket. So for this particular type of property, little studio apartment, what's the total out of pocket? Because you're gonna have to there's a lease deposit, there's deposits for all this stuff, furniture and all that.
If you start you go with two studios, 600 to 650 square feet, and then you actually do your shopping and then your furniture. You look for the best of the most economic. You can go a little lower end, so you can make it with as low as $4,000.
So with furniture, everything else, probably deposit. You're just gonna have to put a lease deposit down. You'll have some deposits here, although you'll get some of that stuff back. So what do you think? $7,000? Do you think it's a reasonable number?
7,000 is reasonable.
Okay.
100%.
So you're $7,000 out of pocket, and it's bringing in $1,150 per month. that's a payback in about 6 months, right?
6 months let me throw you a couple examples, right?
Mhm.
6 months is very doable if you yourself as an investor jump out and do, hey, let me just do 3 Airbnbs. I'm going to manage them yourself, right? So you can do that. It's not hard to do 3 Airbnbs, but when it gets to 5, 10.
Oh yeah, you
it's
just gotta build a
such
whole
headache,
system. Yeah, right.
So if you as an investor are doing this exact model, you're renting out, you can make $1,000 to $1,200. But if you're scaling, you're gonna have management.
Yeah, you got
fees,
some management fees and
all
some
that.
other stuff.
Yeah.
But what I think is fascinating about this model is, people keep talking about, well, I want to go in and start flipping houses. And I'm like, well, don't flip houses. Why don't you just buy a couple of Airbnbs, add, let's say, I think you can do 5 pretty reasonably. I think 5 is probably about the max. So we had 5 of these things over here. What's that? 5, 2, so that's $5,350 a month. If I had $5,350 a month coming in from 5 of these, and it cost me $20,000 out of pocket to buy a single family house with leverage and all that, to increase my number of rentals. All I need is 4 more of these things, or all I need is every 4 months I buy another house, another single family rental property. Does that make sense to everybody? Like, one of the biggest issues I see in real estate is lack of liquidity or enough capital to buy the next deal. Well, Airbnb cash flows so well that why not have 5 short-term rental properties run through Airbnb? We're making $11.50 a month. Get 5 of those, you'll be making $53.50 a month, and then you're taking those dollars every 4 months, and you're buying another house.
That's a perfect to the T formula of how you can scale this type of business with 3, 4 properties, and then go 1, 1, 1. The other year, 7, 8.
Yep.
Right, and then another year, 14. We've doubled our portfolio, and in less than a year. Right?
Yeah.
So 14 to 35. Well, of course, this is purchasing some using private money and all that. But the rental arbitrage, you keep adding.
Yeah.
And that includes, paying myself also a small salary. And now I've got a team, I've got managers, I've got an operation manager, I've got good bookkeepers. So we're operating this as a legitimate business with our office.
Yeah. This is I really like this model for growing your business. And then one day, if you just get tired of doing Airbnb, you just take it off Airbnb and put it on as a full, a long-term rental.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add to this, and it's going to be and if you can get away with it from the landlord, I would actually add an option in here, if you can.
That will work with the houses. Just
Works with the houses, right?
In case,
Works with condos, won't work with an apartment you're renting, right? That doesn't work there. I guess you can get an option on the whole apartment building, but I would get an option here in the future if you decide to buy this thing. You can actually take the cash flow that you got from the Airbnb and come right back around and buy that property.
and then your option takes a smaller amount that you're putting up, and do you get that back if you decide not to? No, I don't think so. Right?
No, just a small. You could do $100 option,
Okay.
$500 option. Whatever they'd be amenable to. But let's say market. Here's what's great about these options. Let's say market value is $100K. So I'll say, look, here's the deal. I'll do a $100,000 option. That'll be a 5-year option for $100,000. So if this market appreciates rapidly, this house is now worth, or this little condo is now worth 120 grand. You go ahead and execute the option, buy it for $100,000, and you immediately pick up $20,000 in equity, which is a nice way of saying you grab 20 grand in net worth, because that's really what's happened.
For free.
For free, yeah, for essentially whatever the cost of that option was, right? So that's one of the things I like about Airbnb is you can back into a rental property by doing Airbnb and then buying that property back in the future. So, all right, guys, it's been just Jason and George here talking about Airbnb on the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We'll see you right after the break. Excellent. Man, it gets warm in here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was doing this.
There's no
recordings. It's
Well,
the heat right there.
Yeah, they had the heat on in the thermostat next door.
Damn.
So, we record more or